Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele here again with my favorite astrologer, Jyoti Wind. Jyoti, you've seen us through some challenging months, and are we going into further challenges ahead, or will things ease up in your mind?
Uh, I think that we have some changes. I don't know how challenging actually. Maybe the full moon, which we'll talk about. But it it's different.
Okay. Okay. And that's just interesting. Let's talk about that when we get there a little bit, that different can look different for each one of us.
Yes, yes, and
Right.
and like the election we just had, you
Yeah.
know, different people feel differently, and we're one people, we're one nation, and or one family, and I know there's a lot of different ideas and thoughts that float through one family, different votes, different voting strategies, and if we can just remember the basic thread that we care about each other. We're a family, or we're a neighborhood, or we're friends, or and yes, we all see the world differently and need different things at different times, but we're still a family of humanity.
Yeah. Jyoti, thank you so much for sharing that. I think there's a lot of folks that can really benefit from hearing that. And my feeling for myself is it begins with me and how I respond and how I show up. Because if I don't put others on the defensive, we can all work through these differences in with more ease.
Yes, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Jyoti, so what do the planets have in store for us?
Okay, so I want to start out slow.
Great.
A kind of minor aspect on Monday, the
Mhm.
11th, November 11th. Mercury is squaring Saturn. And so just to note that that's a day where it might be good to look at any kind of self-limitation, because Saturn's getting ready to go direct. And so Mercury squaring Saturn is just saying, where have I limited myself or limited my thinking? Where do I worry? Where do I think small? And so it's kind of insight into
It
that
sounds
day.
like a good time for that to happen because that's what we're kind of forced into right now, this limited thinking and to expand that.
Yes, yes. And then um, Saturn will actually turn direct on the 15th, the same day as the full moon. So Saturn will turn direct. It's been retrograde since the end of June. I think it contributes to that feeling of a slog, like we're walking through sludge, as we talked about before. And I think that Saturn here is going to kind of break it up a bit and give us more momentum,
Yeah.
more of a sense, maybe not a clear vision of where we're going yet, but that energy that starts to build toward movement.
Remind us of Saturn's essence. Like what is Saturn energy?
Well, Saturn is the bones and the teeth of the body. It enables us to be upright. It is the foundation, you could say, like bones and teeth. It's also, it restricts and limits. That's its job, so that things have form and they're not too far out there. There's always a balance between Jupiter and Saturn. They kind of go together. So if you have too much Jupiter, things are just boundaryless. And if you have too much Saturn, there's not enough enjoyment or expansion to allow a person to feel comfortable with themselves and their life. And comfortable is loose, a loose definition. So you need Jupiter and Saturn together. And this is Saturn that's been retrograde, kind of pulling us in, kind of restricting in a way, but narrowing our choices, kind of. And now Saturn is going direct. We've had time to work internally. That's Saturn retrograde, self-discipline, personal responsibility. And now Saturn is going direct and it's saying, okay, let's take what we've been working on consciously or unconsciously since the end of June and let's bring it out into the day-to-day life.
And that's really helpful. When I was listening to you, Jyoti, what I was hearing is like Saturn gives us the framework, right? Like
Yes.
and then so these ideas can become more tangible.
Yes, and livable,
Okay.
manifestable.
Right. And the limits would keep us from taking on too much or
Exactly.
right. Okay. Okay.
Exactly. Or spreading ourselves too thin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's happening in the morning of the full moon on the 15th. And the 15th, the full moon on the 15th also is in the afternoon. It's at 2:28 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so the full moon is the moon in Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio, moon in Taurus, conjuncting by 1 degree, maybe 1.5 degrees, the planet Uranus. So it is about bringing things into balance. It's about going deep, sun in Scorpio. It's about moon in Taurus, reaching out, asking for what you need. And with the planet Uranus there, it brings change. It suggests that we are, on the verge of change, and this full moon is reflecting it. The sun is trining Neptune. So there's a real sense here of kind of more of an ease and flow in our own spiritual beliefs, our own spiritual lives. However, this full moon is squaring Pluto. No, it's not squaring Pluto. The moon and the planet Uranus is trining Pluto. Sorry about that. And it's giving us an opportunity to moon trine Pluto to really transform our emotional bodies, to transform how we express our feelings, how we ask for what we need, how we are manifesting what we feel to be true in our own lives. There's something here that is taking us back to the ideals of the 60s and 70s when there was a Uranus-Pluto conjunction. This is now a period where Uranus is trining Pluto. So it's saying, what about those ideals? Have we lost them? Are they still back there somewhere? Can we bring them forward and find places to live those ideals, implement those ideals now?
Wow. Wow. That's so interesting having come right at the, a week or so off this election and um, asking us to check in with our spiritual self, which is really what it's all about, right? All this other stuff is just stuff.
It's just distractive noise.
Yeah, yeah.
In some ways, yeah, and so it's asking us, how are we able to feel emotionally empowered, as the Buddhists say, how do you keep your seat, in the midst of everything that's going on around you? Because there's an ideal of peace in the world, and what I usually respond to with that is, when the people really want peace, we will have peace. When we can find peace in our own hearts, then we will have peace in the world. We're not there yet. As a collective, we're just not there yet. And there's no blame, and there's no, depression or resentments, or, it's just the isness of it. It's the way it is. And so, but we're working toward that ideal, toward that way of being. And so this Uranus trine Pluto has been for several months and will continue over time, the next year or so, to give us those remembrances of what we of what galvanized some of us back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yes, yes, because remember, we've been talking about a lot of these outer planets are changing from water and
Mhm.
earth into fire and air. And so this trine will continue as Pluto enters Aquarius, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the planet Uranus enters Gemini. Within the background, Neptune is going to enter Aries. So these three outer transcendental planets, as they're called, are entering a different type of energetic. And fire and air is much different than water and earth.
Yeah. And Jyoti, do you see this to be helpful in healing some of this polarized experiences we're all having?
Um, I think it kind of can be a container,
I like that.
like
Yeah.
beginning to create the container for a more global cooperation, if you would, you
Right.
know.
Right.
But it has to start with the individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you know, I was talking to someone the other day about betrayal, and so if there's betrayal in the life, one has to look at where is it in me? I feel like a lot of times the
Mm.
universe brings us a mirror. It's not always pleasant, but we need to see ourselves so that we can push past conditioning, family conditioning, social conditioning, all of this stuff to come to a place where we're really being authentic with ourselves. And so if we ask for it or are open to it, the universe will give us that mirror so that we can see the truth of what is being shown to us outside because it lives inside. And
Mm.
then that's the place to go to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other piece of this is that the fact that Mars is still opposing Pluto, and this is going to happen for a while. I mean, it gets a little farther away, but not too far, and then it comes back over the next bunch of months. And so there's this energetic underneath everything around real intense change. Changing the way we as a species, we personally, individually, manifest things. How are we in line with our own authenticity and truth?
Yeah, it sounds like these aspects we're going through are all invitations again as we move towards the end of the year for self-reflection and growth.
Yes, I would agree. And Pluto is moving into Aquarius on November 19th at 1:29 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so since September, Pluto went back into Capricorn till this November 19th, just as a last ditch effort to bail out the patriarchy and the corporate consciousness and all of that and power over. And Pluto is going into Aquarius on the 19th to usher in roughly 20-year time period of Pluto moving through Aquarius. And it's a different dispensation than where we've been for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
And so it's, we've talked about it a little bit. It does have rebellion in it. It does have for the people in it, because Aquarius is about the people and equality and people's rights and what the people want, not so much what the government who are supposed to be working for us, what they would like to see happen, but what the people want. And so Pluto into Aquarius is reminding us of our own revolution, the American Revolution, reminding us of the French Revolution, which all took place the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. And so it's asking us, what inside of us is ready for some radical change.
Wow.
If we take this from a cosmic level and bring it into a personal internal level, what is it inside of us that is ready to emerge?
Wow. And I'm thinking too, this all comes at a time we're about to go into Mercury retrograde.
Yes, yes,
Right.
later in the month.
Right. So we get this big invitation with this question, and then there's an opportunity to go inwards shortly
Right,
afterwards.
right. However, the opportunity remains because Pluto isn't retrograde, it's Mercury. You know what I mean? Pluto's
Yes.
still
Yes.
moving through
Yeah.
Aquarius, beginning its March through Aquarius. I mean, it only gets to 3 degrees of Aquarius, and then it'll retrograde back to zero, I think, maybe one, and so it's Pluto in Aquarius. Then it will not retrograde back into Capricorn anymore. So it's the rise of AI. It's the rise of different kinds of spiritual, medical possibilities, sound healing, vibrational healing. A lot of different kinds of things are already being rolled out on the table a little bit, and I would expect that it would really take off, those kinds of things.
And remind me how long Pluto will be in Aquarius.
20 years.
Okay.
20 years, yes. And so, in over that 20-year time frame, there's positives and there's challenges and all of that. And so, but it's really for the people. I can't emphasize that enough. We will see communities, and we will see the high side of community, and we will see the low side of community. Each has its polarity.
Sure. Great. Well, I'm glad we have you around for some of that 20 years, Jyoti.
Yeah, I don't know how many, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll keep you for as long as we can.
Thank you.
Great. Well, anything else, Jyoti, that we should be aware of?
Um, Between now and the next time we'll talk, I don't think so. I could throw out a couple dates, like November 16th is a day for expect the unexpected, and on the 18th, more of a spiritual flow, more of a sense of, yeah, I'm in the right place at the right time with myself.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. Jyoti,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.